fan, Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Play CSGO? Discover more than 5 various kinds of bets just for a single map. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Getting tired of playing with the usual skins, but don't have enough money to buy a new one? Get rich fast with CSGoFast.com. CSGoFast. It's a strong chance of winning in every game. Several rooms with different game modes. Daily, more than 1,000 games, 5,000 players, and 25,000 skins at stake. You don't need much in order to sweep the board.
Welcome back to the Starladder I-League Star Series Season 2. My name is TomBiz14. Joining me once again will be Flakes. And, well, what a comeback from Dignitas.
Comeback is an interesting one because the fact that I just look at that as a very explosive D side coming out from them. Their CT side, it was a shambles. We have to be honest about that one.
Oh, yeah, 5 rounds on the CT side. It should have almost been flipped in a way. If that had gone the other way and we would have seen them do that amazing comeback on the CT side, I would have been not even that surprised. But on the T side, it really is an impressive ploy to win. What, they had 5 rounds, win 12. Pretty ridiculous, and only losing 1 in the process is another sort of crazy ploy. Clearly, they do have that fragging power that we're talking about. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Train has to offer. The only thing is, for me, with Train, the CT side is definitely much more important. It's even heavier than we can look on Mirage, and also the T side is also more difficult if the setups are correctly made.
Well, the thing about Train is overall it's a huge curveball for me to both of these teams. I don't think either of these teams are going to go into this one going, yeah, let's play Train, we really want to play this map, this will be great for us. I don't think that's the case at all. And I think, for me, it will come down to the better players on the server and also what kind of sides we see start on. Because the one thing I do think will work for Dignitas at the moment is that their cohesion as a team, when it comes down to their CT side, it seemed lackluster. But there was a complete turn of events on their T side, and we have to look at it and go, how can you be moving as a unit on your T side but not as a CT side, which does kind of make me lean towards the fact that maybe it just took them a little bit of a while to get started.
Yeah, the other thing with the T side as well is if someone says, okay, we're going this way, you play Lurk, you do yada, 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 it can be a lot easier than actually individually setting up players, having crossfires. That comes a lot with cohesion and also length of time. You have to remember, for example, Magis could still only be in the full lineup for just a very short amount of time. I'm not sure exactly when Rubino got back, but even that could have shaken up the overall mentality of the team and how they were playing, because they were still playing with their coach up until, well, we got to this stage of the tournament. So I'm still looking forward to that team getting built a little bit more, and we've already seen how impressive their T side can be. The only thing is they won't get away with that against a better tier of team. Like, it has to be said, Kinguin are definitely not tier 1. They're not up there fighting for the #1 spot in the world, although I think that has definitely become a lot more interesting now with that little Swedish mix-up that we've just seen. I cannot believe the new Godsent lineup. I'm hyped for that, but at the same time, a little bit sad for the Olive and Crim's love story.
Well, I think my friend kind of summed it up in a nutshell. It's like trading in your mansion and your Lamborghini for a C5 Citroen and a poolside terrace.
That's just savage to the other players they've added in.
Well, I got to say, that's for Fnatic, it's a bit of an interesting move. But maybe we'll discuss that one afterwards. Let's talk about the current. It's Kinguin versus Dignitas, the second map on Train. We are seeing the knife round unfold. We've discussed Train quite a lot in the past. Overall, which side do you think will favour these two teams?
Well, in terms of the choices, I'm not really too sure, because obviously the map is CT-sided. You expect whoever wins the knife, Dignitas, to pick that CT side. But in terms of how well they played on their T side of Mirage, I'm a little bit worried. At the same time, you can't really say how well they practiced and prepared other maps. You also have to talk about the fact that we ultimately banned down to just 3. Although some of their maps they would have wanted to play, such as Cobble, were not allowed through. You do have to wonder what they would have allowed through if the other circumstances had begun. But at the same time, we're now looking to see what they do have to offer on train. We always highlight the AWP players. Cajun had a pretty decent performance. Even on like the CT side, he was still finding opening picks. Now we're looking to see the sort of real setup and who will be that sort of isolated individual over towards the B site, as that is the norm. Maybe not so much in the pistol, as said many a time, that you don't always see the sort of standard setup on a pistol round because logically it may not make as much sense.
Indeed. But either way, it's going to be Kinguin on the T side, dignitas on that CT side. Gotta say, CT side is not where I wanted to see them. But at the same time, maybe going to be see something a little bit different this time around, as we are going to be kicking this one off, dignitas going for almost a confidence-based play. 5 sets of body armor, nothing else being brought up due to the 5 sets of body armor. And that's a bit of an interesting decision. We will see MSL just tapping away with the USP. One of the Kinguin side of things, it's the fairly standard option.
Yeah, Cajun will be there to support. As said, I'm not really expecting there to be 2 players over towards the B site in the normal setup for the Dignitas side, but you never know. They might be throwing a spanner in the works. The only way you can find a new meta is by changing things up. Otherwise, it wouldn't be new. Either way, we are going to look towards the players now, setting up over towards that A site. Already Magisk will find one, Rubino with another. Nice work from the CT side with these pistols, and this leaves a pretty lackluster attack now with Innocent just left. At least he has the bomb. He has some nades as well. But really, he just has to try and find this kill onto MSL and just run towards the site. Either way, he has done a little bit of damage. Slightly unfortunate to find a dink and not a kill, especially at that range, but that is the Glock. And already we're going to see a little bit of extra damage done onto him, but nothing too major just yet.
Not quite an ACS, but certainly on the back foot. He's got 83 HP to play with. He's got a clock in hand, going to be tagging away. Still got some utility to expend, but he just doesn't even look like he wants to be using it. He will barrel out on towards the site, finds himself one. A quick to punish Cajun B will deliver that final reckoning shot. And leaves Innocent left, well, with nothing at all. And well, we were a little bit concerned about taking the CT side, but if there's a way to kick things off, a huge pistol round was the way to do just that. But the one thing I do want to say is we witnessed that over on Mirage as well. We saw Config delivering some great work with the USP, but still the same result came in.
Yeah, now we are going to see the P250s up at the moment on the Kinguin side. See what they can do in terms of damage, but just going to save as much money as possible at this point. Of course, 4 rifles already on the board will mean that there is, well, a high chance that they won't get too much done. A long distance battle is what is expected in pretty much every avenue that they go towards, apart from maybe the position of MSL, which is going to be over towards that B site, playing up close and personal with the SMG. Does, of course, have the cover at the moment of Cajun, but whether or not they will keep that setup again, we are not too sure just yet.
Well, that's the nice thing about taking this. They're making sure currently they do take no unneeded losses without a teammate being there to find a quick base trade. The only real player striking out on his own will be Config, but he's up in the air in a very elevated position, which means, realistically speaking, if anyone does find him, Dignitas, they can position themselves to try and still find a trade out of that thin air. Kinguin, on the other hand, still on the back foot. They've just got those P250s in play, as you mentioned. Manai's already knocked down to just 12 HP, so nowhere near how they wanted to start this round. But still a quick pace burst over towards B. They could find themselves a bomb plant. We do see that fake try and come in. It doesn't look like it's going to be ending too well for them, though.
Yeah, already the cleanup begins. It is MSL with the SMG finding 3. Make that 4, and he's just making that sweet money, which won't actually get all 5 in the end, as Magisk ruins that chance. But now we are still looking at a Kinguin side with not too much on the board. You have to remember they didn't get the bomb down in that first round, so saving there was actually a more interesting perspective that most teams do not take. It could mean that they're going for that first buy round AWP, which is potentially on the cards, but at the same time it leaves quite nice taste in the mouths of Dignitas, as they're going to be able to make a huge amount of money in these next couple of rounds.
Well, that's going to be the nice thing. They want to get themselves going and they want to keep things together. They're looking for, well, a 5-0 ultimately. That's their kind of current mindset, their current goal. And from there, they'll just launch even further. To do just that, they still need another 3 rounds to reach that goal. Will the MSL going for the aggressive push with the SMG? Innocent will find one with the Deagle, just making use of that spam ability. A nice frag coming in. The one thing about Dignitas, they are known to be able to play from the back foot, as Rubino finding a quick trade, takes down Manai, back to that 4 versus 4, the pistols trying to find themselves something over towards the A site. Mouse will find one, just spamming away with the P250. Takes down MSL, player that perhaps should have just somewhat overextended. And a bit more damage being dished out, but the HG going to be doing the work. Magisk just tapping away, finds one, makes it 2, takes down Mishu. Seems like Kinguin, well, they may have a chance, but now it's rapidly falling apart.
Yeah, actually a lot of damage being done to start. There's a potential position of the bomb as well. Innocent going to grab another. Now this is starting to get a little bit too scary. This should have been an easy round. Should being the primary word in that sentence, as it's not looking that way at all. They do have the long-range positions, a very retakeable site, but at the same time, we've already seen 3 kills come in. Make that 4, Innocent with another. This is a massive round coming out from the T side. The bomb now starting to tick away. Rubino does have the advantage still, I fear, but looking at that SMG of Mao's going to go straight for the aggression. Doesn't manage to make it work, and there will actually still be a defusal on the bomb, but Jesus, that was a lot of damage.
Smart decision-making coming out from Rubino, though. That Molotov, that one decision alone, that won him the round, because after he found the first frag, he knew there was only one option for that player to go, and was really banking on the fact that he went to the right because of his position being close to the train. That's what he did. He found the second frag, was able to mop up the defuse, so I have to give props to him for that decision-making in terms of utility usage and the way he positioned himself.
Now, we do see the forced rebuys on that Dignitas side. You have to remember that they lost themselves 3 rifles in that scenario. 1 SMG as well, but that's not going to be the worst of their troubles. Spiro will be able to get an AWP with full nades, in fact, because of the problem of, well, the fact that they were able to get the bomb down. That was more than surprised in that factor, but the fact they got 4 kills additionally is another factor altogether. On the CT side is still a good one, but this is the potential position for Kinguin to actually reset them completely and really send them into a spiral of rounds where the Polish can get off to a great start. They've saved for this buy. They've done the damage without the buy. Now let's see what they can do with this big-ass buy.
Well, that's the thing. You take a look at what they pulled off in the round before, and you go, well, you just had pistols. You were at a huge disadvantage. Well, now you got everything you need. You were specifically waiting to bring this one into the game. Surely this should be sitting towards their direction, but they still have to find the frags. They need the execution. They have to have the raw power to take this round. We are seeing very much a bias towards that B site. MSL to be the player to try and hold this one off. He's a solo man. Cajun B is going to be coming in for the support. He's got the AWP in play. One thing that does make me nervous is the fact that both of these players currently are very much leaning towards covering that heaven position. Finally, we're starting to see some second thoughts coming from MSL, realizing that, well, maybe he should be looking towards his lower, because the one thing that Polish side could do at this point is just completely dart out of ramp and just completely take over this B site, giving the AWP nowhere to look.
Yeah, the only thing is it still seems uncertain where they're going to go. The bomb now slowly rotating. They only have 25 seconds, so they don't have a huge amount of time to make this decision. And MSL, well, he's got to be this anchor on the site as they come for the push down ramp. Mihu going to make that entry onto the A site, trying to sell the fake, but in the meantime, the bomb is going to be pushing out onto this B site. Already the spray going to be coming in. The bomb's going to get dropped. There's only 10 seconds to actually play, but quickly the trades come in, but Cajun's there. No chance in the end for the Kinguin side, and they may do more damage, add a little bit more woe, but other than that, it's still another round on the board.
I've got to say, and I'm kind of very much curious in your thoughts here, Tom, I'm not sure if a fake at that point of the game, this early, was a smart call from Kinguin. Would have much preferred them just take a bit more of a relaxing stance, try and do, you know, the back-to-basics kind of T-side strategies, and from there, maybe then explore to see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it was a very risky strategy that laid on, and it didn't work out. Once the bomb was dropped, it turned into a more panic style of round, and unfortunately, that has not worked out for them at all. Either way, they have come back up with a buy. This time, Spiro, the only one really suffering. Now with the scout, the utility has been dropped a little bit. And, well, Config, in fact, going with an SMG, trying to make a little bit of money. The flashbang will allow him to get quite a bit of presence, but he has to be very careful. Hits the dink, but it's not going to be the frag, and that's already an opening. A lot of damage being done, though. What? Getting tagged down by the rifle, then burns alive. So Magics will quickly bring this one back into contention.
That should not be a trade at all. Spiro deciding maybe life's just a little too short. Why not burn away in the fire? Well, now Mishu, he's on 7 HP, and well, what was the scenario looking good for the Polish side? Now looks really not that great at all, because I'd say the advantage falls well and truly in the Dignitas court in this scenario, especially when taking into account Mishu's HP. But advantages aside, it's going to be that push coming into place. They're not going to be leaving it too late this time around, just barreling out on towards his A-right, trying to find some quick pace frags. But the team kill will come in, Manai's just deciding, you know what, why not kill my teammate? That's exactly how this will go down. Magic and Cajun going to try and do some work of their own innocent. We'll pick up one on towards Magic, but even then, it's not going to be enough. Rubino going to be the man to deliver the final frag. And Kinguin just making an absolute mess of that round. That was a travesty in terms of performance. And, well, the 5-0 that we said things were hoping to find, well, they found it.
Yeah, that's the more interesting one. I mean, he's currently on -1, which is definitely not the best start for him. We are going to see The Bayek coming back in for the CT side once again, keeping that 5-0 lead going, starting off much stronger than they did on the CT side of Mirage. At the same time, we do have some pistols for them to contend with, which are going to be going aggressively over towards that B side. This does almost lead me to believe that they're aiming to get that bomb plant down and then possibly going to continue the aggression on to try and win the round. That is the best way to do it. If you stay back with these pistols, the likelihood is you will lose the round unless somebody does something pretty damn ridiculous. Either way, we do have MSL again waiting in the rotation already from KGB, who has actually been very quick to actually push over to this B side. There is an opportunity to then work that out later in the game, but here is MSL going very aggressive. Finds 2 frags, KGB there to find the trades. They're still looking to try and get this bomb down, which is the valuable scenario for them here. Not even getting a chance to go further aggressive, but Mihu will end the life of 1. That's going to make things a little bit more costly. We're talking about the cost of these rounds already, but there's the quick trades. 3 players living, and dignitas will get their 6th.
They found a plant. I don't know, this is kind of just looking into things maybe with a bit of hindsight, but there was a lot more Mishi could have done there because he dropped the player. He should have realistically known that the AWP would have been on that player, so he could have pushed through and got the kill, or should I say the gun, because after he found the frag, he just abandoned it and left it away, and maybe he wanted to go back and help his teammate on site. Yes, hindsight, it's a powerful thing after all. But I was looking to see Kinguin maybe just trying to shut a little bit more damage. The individual decisions just not quite being, well, the favoured option, you could say.
Yeah, well now, the AWP will come back onto Sparrow. Not really had too much of an impact as of yet. A little bit more of an impact than the negative impact of Minis, but at the same time we are sort of looking to see what they have to offer. Going quite heavily over towards the Ivy position at the moment. Cajun looking to go aggressive himself and peek over towards B-Long. It will be a little bit of a delayed peek, so he does have to be careful, but from our hindsight we can see that there isn't anybody currently there. We are going to see a current push on that sort of Ivy position. And Sparrow's going to find that first frag.
That's a really nice way for him to find that frag. I'm not sure how he got away with it, but he did. And that's going to be a frag on the board for the Kinguin side. MSL going to be looking for something down the sides of these trains. But Sparrow, well, he's took full control, just leaving no gap unturned. Now the clock is going to be ticking down. The Kinguin, they don't have maybe 30 seconds to try and play within this round. But the one thing they've been prone to do is leave it just a little too late. So they're going to be being a bit more proactive this time around, pushing out with 50 seconds to try and utilize. But it will be Magic trying to go aggressive, finding a frag, but it's not going to work out. Innocent going to punish him. Finding a second, somehow they're making this one stick. It's now MSL, he's going to try and find a spray, but it's not going to work. Innocent making it 3. Rubino finally coming in with a frag with the AWP, but he's the last man standing up against 4. Being sprayed through the smoke, whipping out the tech line, trying to claw something out of this round. But with 3 men staring down the barrel of his AWP, it's only able to find 1, and well, not even the AWP to find the frag. It will be the Tech 9. It's going to be Kinguin finally ushering around on the board. But I've got to say, I'm not necessarily sure that they have enough to make it 2.
Yeah, the only real, huge positive they have is across all of these rounds, they haven't been clean for the Dignitas side. So even with 6-round streak, they're suffering in this buy. They have 1 AWP. The second is not going to be on the board. Rubino obviously playing that up to this point, which I was a little bit surprised by. I haven't seen him on the AWP too much so far. But he's just going to be on a UMP. And now we have a 5-7 onto config as well. The other factor is now we have a double AWP on the Kinguin side of things, which, well, wouldn't normally go for that on the T side, but they do have 2 very competent AWPers. The only problem is how late they leave these sort of rounds, because I have seen them sort of play this factor before, where they leave it too late and they have to try and force the issue. But there is the peak already. Rubino going to go aggressive, sort of baiting a little bit for config, hoping that somebody will now walk past, assuming that their positions are clean. And, well, he is so close that there is now a possibility. The smoke being thrown out, but he's going to get pushed from the other angle. And, in fact, Minis will find the kill either way. So looking like we are going to have a second at least on the board, unless the remaining players can do some big damage. There's MSL. He grabs 1. Looking like they may have just spotted out Magic, but won't manage to get the kill onto him. And it still leaves it in a possible scenario for the Danish side.
Possible, not quite what I was looking for as well. Misha going to be delivering a decisive headshot straight to the cranium of Magic. He's just left wondering what on earth went wrong. And while MSL, he might find 1, brings it back to a 2 versus 3, should I say. But even then, it's looking rougher and rougher by the minute as the bomb will go down. MSL will find 1 on towards Misha, brings it back to a 2 versus 2. But KGB not in the greatest position to try and do the damage, especially with Sparrow just holding on towards the frag, on towards Connector. He spotted him out, the shoulder peaks just rolling in, and, well, perhaps MSL, you're just playing with fate at this point. But he is a nice distraction. KGB just walking around the side of this train. Goes for a flick, but misses a huge shot, whipping out the USP, trying to find something. But KGB
Cajun boo, more like. That was terrible. That was really, really bad. And that was such a big play, not only from MSL, just baiting out those frags, but just the shots, more like. He was baiting them out to give him a free frag. That should have been easy. They didn't even know he was there. He walks up behind and just completely whiffs. And, well, they're not going to miss the sound of that AWP. It's pretty damn loud. Also comes up with a massive red dot. And the second that happened, the round was nigh on over. The push going to come in here. Double spray down. Well, easy stuff. And already we now see 3 rounds on the board for Kinguin. And not so dominant from the side of Dignitas.
My faith has just plummeted straight through the floor. Just not sure how on earth he'd let that one slip away. But it means we find ourselves with Kinguin walking away with not only that second round, but they've made it 3, just taking advantage of the Yuka round coming out from Dignitas. At least the one nice thing coming onto the board from them is the fact they have the rifles in play. I don't think even they're going to be missing the AWP this time around. It's going to be no AWP in them. They just simply put couldn't afford it. Whereas for the Kinguin side of things, it will still be Sparrow wielding it this time around.
Here goes the aggressive push, though. Config will be able to find that first frag. Looks like the other players have just resorted to retreating back towards this B site. Nate not going to do too much. We'll slow them down a little bit, but this does mean there is only one player. MSL is actually top fragging at the moment, so there's something to mention. Cajun will manage to do some work with the rifle in the meantime, giving a 2-man advantage, but that may quickly turn into 1 if MSL cannot do anything here. The flashbang going to throw out. It does do a little bit and actually managed to grab him another kill. Now he's going to fall back, repositions himself nicely, but doesn't manage to connect. However, it doesn't seem to matter at this point. Only one player left. A team ace coming out for Dignitas, and they're back on the board in style.
A very nice way for that one to unfold. Well, let's just talk about the fact they have 7. How many do they need to make this one, well, a solid half of them? Or even better than that, just pushing away with the potential for them to take a very easy second half and walk away with the series.
I'd say 10 is probably the benchmark, but if you want to sort of secure it versus, say, a pistol win for the, or pistol win, or pistol loss, I should say, for your side, you want maybe 11. I don't think anything more than that is too necessary, but of course it is very nice. But already, wow, the head of Config is decapitated. Not going to have any further part in this round, leaving it down to just a few. At the same time, Kinguin with 5 will be feeling pretty confident, but the same goes. If they are not able to win the pistol, do they want a little bit more? Yeah, they probably do. At the same time, they are going to look for this peak. Mao's going to miss the shots. There are 2 players there that should give away the positional awareness to Rubino, but it's not going to matter as Mao's just goes aggressive, finds that frag once again. Cajun's there with the trade. He comes in with a couple of trades, but it doesn't seem like it will matter. MSL manages to grab one more, but it isn't going to be too good a scenario here. Do have to also bring in the fact that at the moment, MSL is top fragging for his team.
I think even this might just be a little too much to ask for, especially when he's stuck over towards connector. We are seeing the bomb having to come towards site. They have got 50 seconds on the board, and well, they could either go and risk this plant, or they could go towards B. They are going to risk the plant. This is perfect, but a smoke, still not quite sure how Emerson spotted him. He's going to go right out the side, backing off right into him. And Eyes should have spotted him out at this point. But MSL, he's going to find the frag. This brings it back to a 1 versus 1. The pop flash will be going out, trying to bait a bit of a response. Just going to be going for the pre-fire with the 45 frag. Maybe not at all too much to ask, because, well, MSL, he's found 3 in this round. Not only that, he picks up the AWP. Well, we said he was top fragging. What a way to cement his performance in this game. We did not expect to see an IGL of all players upping the ante here. Well, I'm not quite sure there really is anything to say. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, more this is the other thing that is being highlighted at the moment. More in the face of Config. He is one of those players that can be a little bit inconsistent, normally right near the top of the board, but at this sort of point it is MSL doing all the work. The only scary factor for Kinguin, though, is the fact that if you then give Config that T-sided presence, then you may be in a little bit of trouble, especially if your CT side really relies on those double AWPs, which a lot of the time they are not able to get. And that's when a lot of the time, for me anyway, after seeing Kinguin play quite a few times through the Invitational, through this tournament, that's when they can fall apart if the economy doesn't allow them to string the rounds and they have to go backwards and forwards. Either way, they have a buy in this round. So that's the big thing to highlight. Double AWPs on the CT side as well, which they've able to pick back up due to them winning that round solely off the back of that clutch from MSL. But we are still looking to see. And the more impressive thing for me is MSL's position. He's playing on the B side and he's top fragging. That just shows how much of an anchor he's actually being at the moment.
Yeah, really stepping up for his team, but Rubino, he's going to be holding this AWP, looking towards but the timing is just not going to work out in his favor. Even then, he will try and go for a flick. Won't quite land the shot, a bit of damage being done. but it's going to allow them to get themselves out on towards the site. They are going to be sneaking up. Magic's also just getting screwed by the timing, allowing Innocent to find himself one frag. Spear going to come in with another. Manias is pushing straight on through the smoke. They're getting stuck there. Touching tips. Some frags are going to roll down. And, well, this is all just falling apart for the Dignitas side. Kinguin, they didn't quite step up. They just got, well, I've got to say, extremely lucky, perhaps maybe a little bit upsetting for them. MSL, he might find one looking to dish out the damage on towards Manias, but you have to look about how this round should not be going in the Kinguin favour. Just the timing working out well and truly for them. And it means that now MSL, unless he wants to pull off a 1 versus 3, it's going to be that 8-4 scenario.
Yeah, has slightly more HP, but also more players to deal with. Sort of thinking this round alone, you need the Benny Hill music playing. But there's the first. Already manages to grab one. Looking for a little bit more. Both players playing relatively passively, but he is going to throw out the Molotov, go for the smoke, but there we go. Finally, he will be taken down. Mihu ends his life, and that's a 4th on the board for Kinguin. Again, it's going to be the monetary position really taking a battering for the Dignitas side, and this could be the ploy for Kinguin actually to get themselves towards 6-7 rounds. As well, even with a sort of save in this round, they're going to have 1,900 added onto their current money, which doesn't leave them with a particularly high amount. Rubino will probably be on something along the lines of a FAMAS, but it will be enough for them to give it a good go. And Maniz, well, he's got this position down to a T. He's going to be buying a Mac 10 and trying to farm some cash.
I do want to talk about Spear, a player that's just doing so much damage with this AWP in this first half. Can't knock it at all. It will be MSL finding a 1D, though. Innocent doing some damage with the rifle. Manai's going to be going for the very aggressive push for the Mac 10. Eventually finds himself being punished by Magis. As now MSL still spamming away with the Deagle. Will get caught out by Innocent. Well, I wasn't quite expecting to have to go into that one. I was going to talk a little bit about Spear, but Dignitas, they are making this one much closer than expected. Just take a glance over at Spear's HP.
Yeah, now, not really expecting too much. I hope to see Kinguin walk away with this round. But at the same time, there's a chance for Magis to make a little bit of extra money. He has a Mac 10, $600 per kill. Is going to get taken down the moment that is mentioned. But now Cajun looking to pick up an AK. And he's got 2 players in his sight, but I think they're just going to wander away. He is playing this very smart, finds the first. Going to go for the re-peek on a second, but now Spiro holding the angle. Should be able to find it, but he doesn't. Now he's only on 4 HP. He has to be very careful, because if Mouse falls, this could be a really problematic scenario, even just in terms of damage. Luckily, they are coming to the end of the half, but there's another one. He's going to be looking for this last kill. But Spiro's in the perfect position. 4 HP. That came way too close for Kinguin, even in the round, so they should be winning comfortably. It comes down. What was bought there? 1 Deagle?
I could almost sense the doubt in your voice. I was kind of getting into things. So I was like, you know what, Dignitas, how they have a chance. But, you know, the phrase that came to mind, I think you were just saying, maybe not to expect a little too much, because realistically speaking, they did only have a USP, not even an upgraded pistol in that 2 scenario. But even then, the 2 players, they did make it stick, brought it back down to that 1 versus 1 against the AWP. But ultimately, it leads to this sort of situation. An 8-5 scoreline. Kinguin looking very strong. We are seeing a bit more of a little mixed bag by coming in from Dignitas. That Max 7 and play on config. He's not had too much of an impact in this game at all. But maybe the Max 7 will be the key to start unlocking some fragging from him.
Yeah, now we are looking at possibly a good half in the hands of Kinguin. You have to remember that there was a sort of 5-0, 6-0 lead in the hands of Dignitas. There may be some great plays coming across the board from their players, but the rounds still tell a different story. The aggressive push should hand config a kill. Comes a little bit close, doesn't quite manage to connect the initial shots. Going to see a repeat come out from Spiro to try and bring this one back into contention. But at the same time, it is now a man advantage, and already he'll pick up an AK, so an upgraded weapon. Cajun has his AWP, but there's Mouse, finds one back. Now the push coming out from Maniz. Mihu going to do the work, and every single player finding kills all at once. Mihu grabs another one. MSL, well, we've seen a 1 versus 2. We've seen an attempted 1v3. Now he's got to try and attempt a 1v4. There's the first frag, but he's already down to 54 HP. This would be more than a miracle for him to pull this one off.
I don't think there's too much you can do. He's got 30 seconds on the clock. The bomb has gone down. So now that's going to be ticking away, and that's just a time bomb waiting to kick off as MSL. He's going to be holding this angle. Not even going to find the frag on towards Menace. It's going to take place. It's going to be in that 8-6 half. Well, it's rolled in, and now we're looking towards that 8-7. We're either going to be seeing a 9-6 or that 8-7. Kinguin looking very strong. And as much as I don't want to write off Dignitas in this scenario because they have done some great stuff with the pistols before, I'm a little bit reluctant to rely on this double Max 7 play.
Yeah, no, this is well, they didn't go for the Novas, so obviously it was a bad decision at that point already. No, kidding, of course, but they are going to go aggressive. Of course, there's no other real option in this scenario. They have themselves some pistols. MSL is going to grab the first frag and looking to try and pick up the rifle in the meantime. The nade, in fact, will hand that over, so slightly better position for them already. Rubino's grabbed another in the meantime, and it is now an advantage for the CT side.
I'm not sure what on earth is taking place, but dignitas, they are making it stick. They are taking our hearts on an emotional roller coaster, because now we're looking at Sparrow knocked down to 41 HP. Innocent and Mouse, well, they're looking all fine and dandy. Their mentality, well, it's not going to be looking too ideal for them. The one nice thing is we are just going to be looking at one player. It's going to be Cajun B being the anchor over towards B. Magic's going to be quick on that rotate to get himself over and help out his teammate. But the B side still looking like it could be a potential target for Kinguin to try and hit. They're just lining up this utility. They do have the advantage when it comes down to this. 2 Molotovs to expend, a handful of flashes as they will just flow around out over towards the site. Now the pressure is going to be mounting for these pistols. Cajun B, he has to go huge. He has to find at least one frag. He will do just that. Finds the first. Just get a bit of damage on towards Innocent, but it's only going to be 20 HP as a trade will roll in. The bomb plant now going to be attempted to go down, but it's going to be a 4 versus 2. An AK and a Mag 7 in play. Magic just going to be coming in from above. Takes down Innocent. Spiro just going to be going for the quick pace thought picks, but it's not going to be enough config with a long range Mag 7 shot to deliver the killing blow. And it will mean that Dignitas, out of nowhere around that, on paper, did not look like it was going in their favour at all. They've made it work, and a 9-6 half will present itself.
Yeah, still not a good half. I would say MSL had a good half. Magic's reasonable, but Config really is the standout factor in this one. He hasn't been too good so far. As said, there are still new changes being made, possibly even a position move for him. But at the same time, you do have to look towards the fact that they did only get those 9 rounds. At the same time, the pistol is going to have a magnitude of weight. Kinguin have the possibility to bring themselves back up to 9 and even the scoreline going into that CT side, build up money and get themselves rolling. At the same time, Dignitas have themselves the possibility to take a 6-round lead. So very much a lot lying on this pistol round. We will see a couple of P250s purchase up, some nades. Quick aggression coming on towards that A site. It is going to be the Ivy push with the majority of players coming towards Maniz. And now, well, on the other side of things, we only have that kit. But there we go. First frag will go one way. Cajun quickly returns. Looking like a pretty close round at the moment. But there goes Rubino adding one more to the list. This is going to be a 4 versus 3. Maniz pushing him from behind. Needs to tap away. Will find one. Looking for a second. But it's not quite coming in just yet. Now he's getting close down, running out of ammo. Innocent trying to trade one back, but it's going to be down to Mouse. He quickly finds 2 and 3 kills. Goes massive right at the end. And the pistol, well, that was intense.
I think the phrase was emotional roller coaster that we used before. But that was in favour of Dignitas. Now we're looking at the exact same treatment being inflicted from that Kinguin side. Mouse, well, you've just entered a scoreboard in a huge manner. That was one hell of a way to have an impact for your team. They've walked away with the pistol round now. They get to bear the reward. It's going to be the SMGs coming into play. The scout in the hands of Sparrow. They have got the rifle in play on Mouse. But Dignitas, well, they've gone for the quad deagle buy.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to tap those heads. Can work on occasions. They do have some very talented Deeg players. Config, one to mention, but hasn't had too much of an impact so far. MSL already going to be dropped, and Sparrow going to find another. Low tag will take down Innocent, so back into the closer scenario. We've already seen them do work with the pistol so far. Risky business there. As Cajun almost grabs one more, but it will eventually be cleaned up. As now we're looking at a 9-8 scenario, and Kinguin one away from evening up the scoreboard.
You just take a look at this buy and you look at it on paper and you go, Kinguin, this should be a round that you can just walk in, take it without any contesting at all. It's only going to be Glocks in play unless Dignitas decide to go for something late, which I think would at the moment be a bit of a dangerous decision, taking into account they barely even have $2,000 to play with.
I think a stupid decision. Stupid decision would be the better phrase.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a bit blunt, but maybe the truth is now we're looking towards these 5 Glocks. Maybe look for a bomb plant at least. Well, the pre-nade's Mouse, he's ready and waiting. The nade is going to go down. That's going to do some nice damage. It will catch on towards the rear end of the pack. The M4 will do some damage. Will get dropped.
Ooh, nice little spray down.
Well, that's what counts. The spray down will roll in, and they are not allowed anywhere near the site. No bomb plant to come in, and that 9-9 scoreline has one and truly found itself for the Kinguin side.
Well, that's the difference as well between extra nades, possibly an AWP coming in, unless Cajun somehow had enough to get a glass cannon on the board, and I'm pretty sure he didn't. So that means that, yeah, it is just going to be straight AKs across the board. We do see some utility, to be fair, but at the same time, that's additional Molotovs they could have had, flashbangs, whatever you like, whatever you want, whatever you need. But at the same time, on the other side of things, we still have a Scout and a P90 in play, so definitely not the ideal buy that we want to see from Kinguin just yet. This is more of a bonus round, although the bonus won't be too much as the SMGs that they have, or the one SMG isn't actually the money-making sort. does have more of a spray potential. And already we see a lot of smokes being called in, but that's the push from Innocent. He's going to deny them any chance to do anything while the smokes are down. We will see counter flashes. Both players walking past each other. There goes the P90 and the possibility to pick up an AK. Innocent doing more damage across the board, and Config just going to find two. Finally awakens, manages to open this round back into a possible scenario, but at the same time there's still a man down. At least they have the bomb.
That's one hell of a shred of hope. As now the clock is going to be ticking down. They have 55 seconds or so to play with. Magic going to be looking to tap away on towards. It's just not going to happen. He will get punished, gets taken down. Kinguin looking to do some work of their own. It's going to be a 3 versus 1 config. He doesn't even have his gun in hand when the scout tag will try and be delivered. A flash to pop to blind him even further. Well, if that was not a warning, I don't know what is. And I hope he at this point he realizes that I don't think there's really too much of a chance for him to try and do the push unless he can go absolutely crazy. But he's not really having the game of his life. But he's starting to step up, already finding half of the frags in the second half than he found in that first half. But the pressure will eventually mounting on his shoulders. He's going to go for the peak, tries to go for the flick. That's not going to happen. The frag will roll in at a 3K on the board.
Yeah, already we see Kinguin now taking the lead. They built up a hell of a lot of cash, which for their team is going to be a really big factor. I wonder if I think they were deciding whether they'll go for an AWP in this round, but as they can sort of guess, there's not going to be too much on the other side of things. Really going for a rifle in this scenario could actually be more valuable because there's no risk of you giving an AWP over. That's another sort of smart decision at the moment from the Kinguin side. Of course, sort of the minimum that was expected from Dignitas coming in on the CT side, and now we're seeing what Kinguin can do. Of course, they had a weak CT side in the last, already doing better than that. Spiro going to be opening things up. It is the Deagles once again, and, well, Spiro the AWPer normally, showing how it's done with the AK, tapping away 3 headshots already in this round, looking for a little bit more. Of course, that's extra cash, even though it only is 300 per kill. That's nice money for him to be making, and, well, they've still got those 3 AKs on their side, looking to keep those into play.
They're just going to be doing the damage, though, knocking them down.
Ace.
And it will be the ace entering the fold. A nice round for him to pull it off in. But I'm going to be looking more towards this round. It's going to be the 21st round. Fairly incremental round.
I'll do that again. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's basically what I'm saying. Just do it again.
Again, Spiro.
He needs to. Well, he's having a game of his life. He's really stepping up and finding the picks. It might not quite reflect on that kind of scoreboard side of things, but in terms of the impact frags he's founding, he's a frag that, well, practically every single round we look at and go, he's just found an important pick.
Yeah, been picked with that AWP so far. Only 1 AWP in the game at this point. That is going to be over towards that T side. First kill will come in for Rubino, and now this leaves Miniz in a horrible predicament. Will manage to peek out and find one, and that was surprising in itself. MSL is going to go down, but Rubino will keep the man advantage alive. Now we are looking at Spiro. He has had a pretty good game so far, but wants to step up even more. Will be Innocent to find the frag. It's still going to be the 3 versus 3. The T's are not out of the woods yet, and the flash works, but it doesn't quite manage to get the frag. Still going to be that 2 versus 2. Now a 1 versus 2 as Rubino's left all alone, and he's just going to miss completely. Miles closes things out. 3K for him as well, and I feel like he's another player who in these bigger rounds has been very important, very influential. And I don't think there's really anyone I can say on the Kinguin side that has been a problem for their team.
They're starting to fall asleep. This second half, it's been an absolute disaster. You can see it just being inclined there. Every single round being picked up by the Kinguin side. Nothing looks like it's working for Dignitas. When does the shade come in? When does that penny drop and they finally start to change something? Because they're rapidly falling out of touch. A 9-12 scoreline. We're getting closer and closer to that third map.
Yeah, well, at the same time of saying that their T side is not looking too good, their CT side wasn't particularly impressive either. It was a lot down to MSL, and that shouldn't be the case, although it's nice for him. Like, it's great, but if they lose the map, he's not going to be singing the praises of the fact that he dropped 20-odd frags.
Well, if he's dropping 20-odd frags, his teammates aren't pulling their weight. To be blunt about it, that's how it is. If your IGL is top of the board, yes, he might be having a good game. He might be able to make opportunities work, especially with some of the clutches he's finding. But ultimately, we should be seeing like players like Cajun B, players like Rubino, Magis, actually doing that the work themselves.
Config as well. Like, he's right down the bottom of the board. That's the big one for me. He's normally, well, arguably the top fragger for this team, especially before Magis joined the lineup. You were almost expecting that from him. So unless it was almost a case where Rubino just went off the chains, you should be seeing Config at the top of the board. And it's not like Rubino's going off. He has been finding a couple of kills. In the last round, he did some damage, but at the same time, they didn't manage to bring it through. Either way, we are going to see this sort of fake play over towards the B side and quick rotation. This could actually work out quite nicely, as there is a lackluster defense now on this A position, but they've used their counter nades perfectly. They've slowed this down so much that they're only going to get about 20 seconds to get themselves onto the site. MSL has managed to get out in a sort of different stance all the way over, but they're just using their nades very smartly at this point. It's all going to come down to the last 15 seconds. Really looking at Innocent, manages to get one. MSL will trade it back, and it's going to be a much closer scenario, but there's Maniz finding another. He's just going to spray down. Only one on the site. Config going to be pushing all the way round the back, but it's looking like a bleak scenario either way, and they're going to have to use these afterplants superbly. Already both players fall, and Kinguin again, they're going to continue their run of terror.
I feel like we're just getting closer and closer, not only just due to the scoreline with the fact that Kinguin are not far away at all from taking this map, but also just from a mentality perspective. Dignitas, they seem broken in the second half. We're seeing crumbs of the players that we've seen in the past. Well, I don't want to see shadows of these players. I want to see them actually live in action, doing the work they're supposed to be doing, and we're still only seeing MSL really having a bit of an impact. We're seeing kind of shards of Config every now and then, but even then still being very lackluster. Magisk might find one, but the impact just isn't there. And now for Kinguin, well, they're all starting to fire on every single cylinder. They're bringing that team effect to a whole new level. They've made it to 13. Well, Sparrow already going to open things up with the AWP, find the frag on towards KGB. Config, he might find one towards Mouse, but we talked about him finding an impact frag and well, only being one, and still not being able to close it out. Still could end the same way. Sparrow, he's going to get knocked very low. That's already a nice different trend to take place in this round. 10 HP for him to play with. Perhaps something for Dignitas to try and work with. Then you look at Innocent, he's just holding towards the bottom of Pop Dog. If Dignitas do try and go for that bait and switch we've seen them do in the past, that could be lethal. You take a look at the B site, I'm hoping that they do decide to finally go for this push and not try and outbrain themselves. Because if they do go to B, there's only one player holding it, and it will be Sparrow with that low HP AWP.
And now we are looking at what the T's have to offer. They should be able to get this bomb down, although the Molotov will at least slow them down. Already we see Config finding a frag, something I haven't said too much in this game, and quickly Magisk will be traded out. Mihu doing the work. We are looking for this push now. MSL going to grab one more, and they do now have the man advantage. Looking at Mihu and Innocent to try and bring something back here. Molotov thrown out, but Rubino going to add another to the treachery of this round, and Dignitas look like they're finally about to get one on the board. Mihu dead. Innocent the one in this clutch.
I'm struggling. He's picked up the AWP, so he's got the longer range advantage when it comes down to taking these gunfights. But they aren't going to be taking a single chance when it comes down to this round, and well, there really is no need for them to try and do just that. They should just be playing very safely, very passively. Innocent, he's going to take the AWP run for the life. Config has spotted him out, so maybe the frag could come in. At the same time, Config, he's going to have to hunt for this one. As Innocent, well, he's not taking any chances either.
Yeah, already. Now we're back to 10. Auto Sniper going to be picked up onto Mouse, so he is all for ending this one as soon as possible. Do have to say, not so much of a fan of it alongside the double orb setup. It's a hell of a lot of rifle, or hell of a lot of snipers without too much rifle support, but don't knock it until you try it, I guess. The same as when we saw the SK5AWP setup, it did work that once. But at the same time, we're now looking at whether or not this will work. 5 AKs on the opposing side, possibly due to the financial perspective of being able to afford AWPs, but clearly after finding out that this B site works, they're going to try it once again, waiting for this sort of push. We have MSL sort of lurking much further back than the rest of his team, possibly trying to expect any sort of aggression coming out from the Kinguin side. Of course, the monetary position is still pretty good for the Poles at this point. And now we are going to see some counter nades thrown out.
In fact, it's all going to be meaningless, because I think there's a bit of a technical issue, which will mean the round is going to be reloaded. We're going to be taking just a short little intermediary period to wait for things to resolve. But that does give us a nice little opportunity just to sit back, talk, and work out exactly where both of these two teams stand.
Well, yeah, for Kinguin so far, as long as things don't swing out of control from losing that one round, they're looking very, very strong on this CT side. Pleasantly surprised, because I haven't seen too much of them on train in general. More of a map that hasn't been in the pool for them, but they've picked it up against the Dignitas side, and it seems to be working pretty well. CT side, they've only lost one round. They've been coming back from what was a reasonably decent T side anyway. Like, they had 6 rounds, now they're on to 13, so 7 rounds so far. Only need to get up to what 10, and then they've done the damage, and 10 rounds is pretty reasonable on the CT side. Dignitas, they've had some pretty lackluster performances so far. Config not really making the impact that we normally see of him, especially when we saw on the T side of the last map. He was really impressive, and, well, even the AWP and everybody else has started to slow down. MSL, not really that entry fragger role. Don't expect him to have to do that and try and clutch out these rounds. So the fact that he was doing that on the CT side was due to his positioning over towards the B side. Now we should see the rest of the team step up. Rubino's had some moments finding a couple of frags, but realistically, I think it's a whole team effort that they have to step up. And, well, hopefully now their financial scenario is a little bit better. They may be able to do that. The only real problem is if they do lose the next round, as we all know, they will be suffering economically quite drastically.
So I'm going to ask a question based off that, because I think you've really laid out on the table exactly where both these teams stand, so there's not really too much to add on to that. So what I want to know personally now is, if someone asked you, you had to make a choice, you know, you laid this one out to me yesterday and we had a bit of an interesting discussion about it, is that, what is that $1 million question? Do you think Dignitas have what it takes to walk away with this map?
After what we've just seen, I would have to go with Kinguin. Realistically, I haven't seen anything too crazy just yet. Of course, they do have the individual talent that I'm not going to say straight out as 100%. No, never say 100%. That's always a risky play in itself. But at the same time, they do now have an extended pause, which could work out for them. Obviously, it has been due to the drop of one of their players, Magisk. But at the same time, it should give them a little bit of time. On the opposing side, just lost a round, so maybe a better idea for them to just go, okay, now we have some time to talk. They could even change the buy that they go for in the next round. I know that shouldn't be the thing that they do, but they can. It's due to that technical pause. It will click continue, and they'll be able to rebuy whatever they want. It is, at the same time, just looking statistically, no matter what team, if you saw someone win 7 out of 8 rounds, you should be favouring them to win, especially if they have an advantage, unless they've somehow lost 14 on the last half. You wouldn't be going against them at this stage, and I feel like the T side was relatively good, although it could have been much, much better for either team at the same time. And, well, seeing an MSL clutch a couple, you could have said that Kinguin could have even won the half, and that's the scary factor here, that really, they just weren't fragging very well. If your in-game leader's having to clutch on multiple occasions, we saw Cajun trying to do it. Yes, that was a pistol round, but at the same time, it shouldn't really happen. And I am just looking at the moment at the sort of Kinguin roster and saying, do you know what? They definitely look like the better team at the moment. They're having just better rounds individually. Mihu's been good. We've seen Spiro doing work across the board. Mouse has had some great performances as well. And when you have these sort of young or talented players stepping up, it would be crazy to bet against them.
Certainly can agree with that one. Another interesting thought process that we did touch on lightly at the start of this series, the fact that both of these teams haven't necessarily got too many hours under their belt recently, because of course we're just coming out of the lull of that kind of relaxation period for a lot of Counter-Strike players. But for me, I don't really want to use that as an excuse. I don't feel like either of these teams can justify really arguing with that one, because we're not seeing those substitute players, we're not seeing any wild changes, albeit they do have the new addition of a player. But they've played with him before. The only actual kind of relative comeback will be Rubino.
Well, the thing, like realistically, in terms of practice, neither of these teams, I think, have had a game in 2 weeks, almost exactly. So to sort of say that one team is disadvantaged, it's basically the Dignitas, their own sort of problem, I would say, because they like that is the holiday season. They're coming back into a tournament without the practice. You can't say, oh, yeah, well, it's definitely the holiday season's fault. No,
it's not.
If you didn't practice, that's just the decision you've made. And fair enough, like, everybody deserves a holiday. I'm all for that. Relaxing can actually bring you back at a better time. But using it as an excuse, everybody's done that same thing. It would be like saying now in the game that's going on between Godsend and VP, saying, oh, well, yeah, realistically, VP have been on a break. It's like, but they're against a whole new team. Whatever. You could say whatever you like. Realistically, you're still going to give the advantage to VP. I don't care who you are. You should be doing that. And just looking at this sort of matchup back to this, it's like saying, oh, yeah, well, Dignitas have a new player. Well, Kinguin haven't played for 2 weeks. If you want to come up with excuses, both teams have them. But at the end of the day, one of the teams is going out and the other one is going through. It's not... You're not going to be able to say afterwards, oh, yeah, but Starladder, we were on holiday... And that's not fair that we went out. Starladder don't care. The winner goes through, the loser goes home, or stays at home.
I think that's certainly true. I don't think they have really any option to try and just battle this one out and see if they can make anything well. I think they're just having a bit of shooting practice right now, just waiting for this issue to get resolved. We do see 5 players and servers on both sides. They're going to be looking to get us back into this one relatively soon. But in the meantime, we've mentioned the fact that no excuses can be made. And that's one of the things I do like about this matchup, and especially with these kind of post-Toddy matchups, because it does show more about the raw skill. And a lot of people say muscle memory and stuff like that. You do build it up after, well, in some cases, years of playing. It does provide that not only level playing field, because we already mentioned both these teams are on holiday, but it also provides a bit more of an interesting complex when it comes down to strategy, because you can take risks by going to be more in depth when you haven't necessarily been as synergistic, you might say, because they've not played for 2 weeks. So risks certainly are there, but it does generally provide with a bit more of an entertaining match to see, because you start to see different sides of different teams.
Yeah, for sure. You could see some crazier plays, some more individualistic styles. They have actually switched up the buy. Just want to point that one out. They now only have 2 snipers, and last time Maniz had an AWP as well. So that's a little bit cheeky from Kinguin, but at the same time, it wasn't their technical pause, so I'm not really going to be saying, oh, damn you, telling Magis to disconnect from the server so you could change it. No, there's no...
That's a wild accusation.
Yeah, that would be the most ridiculous accusation ever. But, yeah, no, they have changed their buy, so let's see if they manage to win the round. If they come into a scenario when an AWP would have been better, then I'm going to laugh. But there is Spiro, one of the AWPs, finding a very aggressive push. Already, we do see another aggressive push coming out from Maniz himself with the M4, and in fact, he's going to spray down 1 and 2, so something maybe he couldn't do with an AWP as he gets 2 frags himself. Now, looking at the remaining 2, Rubino does have the bomb down. That's the one benefit they have, but the after-plant positions are very good from the CT side already. We'll see the auto-sniper of Mouse doing its damage as he takes down 1. And now we're looking at MSL. He's in a clutch situation once again. This time it's 4 players to his detriment. The bomb's going to start being defused, and Mihu will end his life. 14 on the board for Kinguin, 2 away from map 3.
Unfortunately, Karma not quite going to raid down on Kinguin. They've made it stick with just those 2 snipers in play, the auto-sniper doing the work. Dignitas now, well, they're not looking too strong at all. And from an economic perspective, well, there really is no silver lining to find. Maybe the fact that Config, should I say, had a bit of money to play with. But even then, it's going to be 2 Tech 9s, it's going to be 2 AK-47s and a Glil. And that's all they've got to try and hold Kinguin off. And we have to talk about the fact that even with Lost Runners somewhat helping them out, they're not going to have that great of a situation if Kinguin do walk away with this round to stop them from taking it to 16.
Well, realistically as well, their loss bonus isn't even very good because
that's the thing.
They literally lost a round like moments ago. So this is a worst case scenario for them. Config could have actually dropped the next to rifle, but went for nades instead. So we'll see if those nades actually play as big a part as they should. At the same time, they do still have quite a few nades on the remaining players who went for the Tech 9s instead, and that is probably the main reason they went for that. Either way, they should be able to get this bomb down. Mihu going to be spraying away, and they do manage to take him down. The aggression is something I like, and Cajun does manage to get away with 1, but already we see a couple of trades coming back. The long range is definitely going to favor those CT players, but if they do get a little bit closer, then there is the potential. But here comes the utility, throwing it out, pushing players out of position. Already we're going to see Rubino in the same spot. Will he be able to end the life of Mouse? No, Mouse is going to connect the shots, and now it's down to just Config. He has rotated all the way around. He's going to be coming in from behind, but at the same time, I don't think he even has a chance to stop the bomb being defused, and it's going to actually be defused while he's trying to save and buy time. But unfortunately, that is it. Does manage to do some extra damage, but then falls himself. And now, looking at the money, it will be enough to get a buy on the Dignitas side. Not a very good one, and the buy on the Kinguin side is going to be somewhat ridiculous. Have they just bought another AWP again? They have. They're going back to the buy that they were going to do before the player disconnected, and then they changed their mind and didn't do it, but now they're going to do it.
Why not? They're up against the Dignitas style. They might be aided somewhat by the fact they managed to get a bomb down and such, and a small couple of crumbs being left by the way rounds have unfolded. But even then, it's 2 rifles, Tom. 2 rifles, 3 Tech 9s. And usually we kind of go and we look at these situations and go, well, you know, rifles potential to go huge. Tech 9's also playing those close ranges. But we've just not seen that from Dignitas. And already the first track will roll in. Sparrow for potential for a collateral. It's not quite going to work out in his favour. Cajun B will dish out the close range shots. Config going to find another. But Maniz is going to be lurking around the corner. He goes for the spray down. Finds both of the frags straight through the smoke. Pure domination rolling out. And well, Config, if there was time for you to go huge, now is that time. And he will find the first. Takes down Maniz, doing the damage. But he has one more player left to find. It will be Manaus. And then from there, he has another to find. And
Manaus? Did you just combine all their names
They're
together?
combining all their names because they are just a dynamic duo just doing the work. That's where we find ourselves. It's going to be them walking away with the map, and, well, we're going to that third map.
Yeah, well, there is Kinguin taking home train. They managed to do it, doing reasonably well on their T side, but showing how it's done over on the CT side of things. Really nice showing from them. A big step up across the board in terms of that other map, and their CT side much, much better than on Mirage by a country mile. Either way, that is going to be it for map number 2. We're going to be coming back shortly with Overpass.
E-gaming bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Play CSGO? Discover more than 5 various kinds of bets just for a single map. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.